Well, hello. Today I'm going to do another rodeo. I'm going to compare two really good pens that I really like. So which one is going to win? Is it going to be the Pilot Custom 823 or the Parker Duofold? Stay tuned and find out. So let's take a look at these two pens. So first I have Parker Duofold and a Pilot Custom 823. Parker Duofold was an attractive pen that attracted me. Well, okay. The Parker Duofold was an expensive pen that attracted me. Back when I was probably 9 or 10 years old, got a pen catalog in the mail, and I wanted one. 9/10-year-old me, of course, couldn't afford one. So I finally got one 30-some years later. And this is it. So this is a Parker Duofold Centennial, which is a little bit broader than the Parker Duofold International. Nice arrow clip. Unscrew it. You get a pretty nice gold nib that doesn't want to focus. There we go. So this one has a fine point. You can get other sized nibs, especially if you go to the international market. There's more nibs available. Screw cap. Very classy feeling plastic. And of course, Parker Duofold stuff there. Open it up. And one complaint I've heard from people is that the Parker Duofold is a cartridge converter pen. And fun fact, it's a proprietary cartridge converter, so there is that to consider. But I think on the whole, it's a well-made, very attractive pen. It's not too ostentatious. And it definitely honors the heritage of the pen. Now, the Pilot Custom 823 doesn't have the same kind of heritage, but I think it's an attractive pen. It comes in 3 finishes. I have the brown finish here. There is a smoke gray finish, and I guess there's a clear finish out there. Has this ball clip. Again, not too ostentatious with the branding. We just have Pilot Custom 823 here on this ring, and that's about it. Open it up. Has a very nice what they call number 15 gold nib. Again, a fine point, and it's a vacuum filler. So that's cool while you're filling it and does absolutely nothing the rest of the time. So I just want to compare nibs because that's pretty much the heart and soul of a pen. So I have the Pilot gold nib is on the left. The Parker Duofold nib is on the right. The Duofold nib has 2 colors. The Pilot has just one. I think the Duofold is just a tiny bit larger, but not a lot larger. Both highly decorated. And the feed, there's some fins on the Pilot feed. I think the fins for the Parker feed, I think there are some internal fins. I'm not sure if this is where the ink goes in the 823. I feel like it goes in here in the Duofold. But very similar sized nibs, both gold nibs. Both made out of a very quality feeling resin, although I will say that the Parker resin feels a little bit more quality. It could be thicker, it could be a different material, I just don't know. Both are filled with the exact same ink, so we can compare. We're using Rohr and Klingner's Blue Mar. Alright, so I did my labels here on the side with a different pen. Let's just see how they compare. And I think I can zoom in just a little bit here. So 2 pens, this isn't going to take up lots of room. So my first pen, I'm going to use the Parker Duofold. Which of course has a fine nib. Guess we're zooming out a little bit so we can see both pens. So the ink for both of them, but I'll write it twice, is going to be our Rohrer and Klingner Blue Mar. I think you can see that this does lay down a fine line, but it's definitely on the broader side, so people might call this a medium. As far as flex, line variation, but hardly a flex nib. Wetness and flow. I think that did very well. Smear test. Make sure we're on screen, just barely. Smear test. Whoop! The green streak would be because this is one of many pen videos I've done today. Snow days are fun. Where am I? Smear test. Reverse writing, which is a test. Ooh. So that feels just as smooth as the other way. And definitely a very excellent extra fine. I'm impressed. I don't know if I was doing the reverse writing test when I first reviewed that pen. All right, and my other pen, of course, today is the Pilot Custom 823. Probably expect another green smear if I didn't get it all off with that first time. Since it is a vacuum filler, I have to unscrew the back for a long writing session. Probably not for this video, but I did anyway. So, Pilot Custom 823. Let's just snark this over a little bit more so I have room. Also a fine nib. And definitely a little more, there we go. Definitely a Japanese fine. I've used both as a daily writer. Both have the drawback of being screw caps. I'm actually pretty comfortable with both. The feel, the balance of this one, it does kind of want to lay back in my hand. I'll have to get the other one out. I didn't think to talk about that. Still the same ink, our Rohrer and Klingner Blue Mar, which doesn't have an E in it. Sorry. Flex, once again, not a flex nib. A little bit of bounce. I think this one's a 14 karat gold nib. Wetness and flow. So again, line variation there, but hardly a flex nib. Yeah, pretty good. Because it's a finer line, even though they're both fine nibs, it's hard to say. Oh, this time we got a little bit of the black in it instead of a little bit of the green. But, considering the fact that it's a finer line, I think that's pretty comparable. And reverse writing. Okay, this one is a little scratchier, but about the same size. And hardly an objectionable scratchiness. So let me just dig out the other one. So sitting in my hand, it's not as back weighted as the other pen, but they both feel good. I feel this flare out on the Duofold toward the nib a little bit more than I do on the Pilot, because there is more, and I like that. I like that flare out. I was going to see what kind of nib is on the Duofold. I'll do that off screen. You can probably read it, but somebody can't under this lighting. Okay, the Duofold is an 18 karat gold nib, if that matters. They tend to be less flexible. So let's just compare a little bit side by side. First, of course, we want to do the world famous Peer Gustafson test. You thought I'd forgot that one, didn't you? Very good. And the Pilot. I didn't expect either one to fail it, and they did not. Now let's just look a little more closely. So I'm just going to do a vertical stroke here. In fact, we're going to zoom in so we can get the full effect. Whoops. There we go. So vertical with the Duofold. Vertical with the Pilot. So the Pilot is just slightly thinner. We'll do a little bit of pressure, not a lot. So a little line variation there with the Duofold. A little bit of pressure with the Pilot. Yeah, so when I'm intentionally drawing lines, they seem more similar. If I do the cross stroke, there's the Duofold. Here's the Pilot, again, thinner. They both seem to have a slightly a slightly italic character to them, where they're wider on the downstrokes than they are on the cross strokes. So that would account for the line variation that they both have. Now let's do an oblique test. Let's do both tests. What the heck? So I've got this test that I always do just to see if they're slightly stubby. I was a little more horizontal or vertical with the Pilot, but yeah, you can see it. And then the oblique test, which really is the only test I really need to do, but you know, pen porn. Yeah, I don't think either one's particularly oblique, but again, it's showing that the Parker is a little more broad. And I'm glad I'm filming the writing sample today and I've got a few days to think about it, because I like both pens. And then I refuse to do a tie. So I'm going to have to think about which one's the actual winner here. I didn't expect it to be this hard. Alright, so that was my... I'd filmed that a few days ago, and I wasn't real sure of the answer when I finished filming that. So what I did is I spent a lot of time writing with both pens, and I think I've mentioned that one of my qualifications for a good pen is it disappears in my hand. I'm just thinking about the words I'm writing, not, whoa, look at how it's spreading the ink around. Look, it's kind of italic there. You know, I'm not thinking about that. I'm just thinking of my topic, and suddenly pages are written. And, oh, these are both pens that disappear in my hand. They're both pens that disappear in my hand. So, I can't use that to compare them. So I started noticing other details. You know, the Pilot Custom 823 feels a little bit heavier toward the back. I'm guessing it's because of the metal rod that runs up its middle. Pilot Custom 823 has more ink capacity. Parker Duofold is a little bit lighter. They're both fairly high-end plastics. So that's not really something I care about, so it didn't matter. I'm sorry, I just said that right beside the microphone. But that doesn't really matter to me, so I had to think some more. Write some more. Oh, darn. Writing with two really good pens. Another difference I see with the two pens is that the Parker Duofold is actually quite an expensive pen, and I said in its review that it's overpriced for what it is. I like it, but I didn't buy one until I found one at a price pretty equivalent to the 823. And I waited a long time to find one at that price. So, yeah, if you take that into account, that definitely tips the scales away. But I don't have that problem because I waited for a good price. And I got a good pen. Both fine nibs. Both nibs are pretty similar in size. As far as feel, they're fine nibs. But it really came down to the details. I started actually thinking about the instrument I was writing with. And so when I'm writing with the Pilot Custom 823, there's almost no lip here at the end of the section. And I hold it comfortably. Like I said, it disappears in my hand, no problem. The Parker Duofold has a wonderful lip at the bottom, and I realized this one is more comfortable to hold. I like having that defined, this is the end of the pen. And it comes down to how I hold a pen. If you hold your pens higher up, you won't care. But the way I hold pens, that's really what gave it the edge. So I'm giving this one to the Parker Duofold. It's a little more comfortable to hold. Yeah, I know some of you purists will say, well, it's a cartridge converter pen. It's doesn't even have its own built-in filling system. I'd say, but that is its filling system. And when I'm writing, I don't care. I'm writing. I'm not filling it. Yeah, it's more fun to fill a Pilot Custom 823 because you get to watch the ink just gush in there. Then it's done, and then you're writing and you don't care anymore. So then you go to clean out both pens, and which one's easier to clean out? Oh, Parker Duofold. So, I'm not one who's got to have a specific filling mechanism. I'm good with whatever. I guess I'm not a huge fan of eyedroppers, but I do have one or two. So, but I gave the edge to the Parker Duofold. So, I don't know if you have both pens, maybe you've got an opinion. Maybe you absolutely despise my opinion. So, let us know down in the comments. So, thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.